Hello and welcome to an Asset Information Management Series presentation. Today I want to talk about the art of managing asset information and the myths about who controls it. What is this myth I talk about? Well, for many of our users, we initially hear we don't need special systems or processes to manage asset information. It's disciplines like maintenance that own all the asset data, and they already have the systems and processes to do that. So let's just have a look at this argument. Maintenance. It ensures reliability and performant physical assets that need to be maintained. Fundamentally, that is their work. So ask yourself these questions. Are maintenance really responsible then for all the operational information, even if they don't need it for the work they do? Are maintainable assets all the assets that they own, or are they just ones that they need to know about? Maintenance fundamentally are very important, but they're a very important part of an overall part of a pie, if you like, of information within digital operations. And they have information flowing around their discipline, all making part of this digital operation that I talk about. But in reality, there are many disciplines to operations, all of which are part of the digital operations. And they each have their own data needs and information throwing and flowing backwards and forwards between them. So, is maintenance, for example, responsible for asset information? The answer, of course, is no. Yes, they're responsible for some of the information on some of the assets, but successful digital operations needs complete and trusted information. So what do we do? Maybe we can get some ideas from some of the answers to questions that we ask our users, because fundamentally, I think we can see the answer from them. A question here, when we ask, you have a great digitization team with a strategy and a project end date, but who are they actually delivering to in the organization? Often we get answers like, well, we're going to get buy-in from all of the disciplines and their management, and the hope is they will just execute the processes we give them. Or we hear, it's okay, I think IT will do it. I know they're a service to our organization, but they're just going to have to own it. Somebody needs to do it. Let's look at another question. When we ask, who is responsible then for controlling the information in operations, keeping it up to date? Well, we're trying to get each discipline to take ownership of their data, though I admit they only seem to take responsibility for the data they use, not the information for the overall of operations. So another question, how do you drive innovation then and efficiency in your discipline's digital processes? Most often we get the answer, well, IT will have to do that. But of course, they're just a service to the organization. They do what they're asked of the organization. They're not necessarily there to innovate their processes. So what we have seen is companies that implement what we call a best practice solution, and that is an organizational change. For they recognize the need for a central information management discipline within operations. A discipline that is created and is responsible for controlling all of the information within operations, keeping it trusted and correct. They're also responsible for the interfaces between the data and the disciplines to ensure that everybody has the information they need and maybe even give them the information they believe they will need to innovate and to drive more efficiency. And lastly, and almost as importantly, they are responsible for the requirements for the information in operations, because that then flows down into any change projects or any greenfield projects so they can deliver the information that are needed in operations. So what does that mean? It's the final piece of the puzzle. It's adding this new discipline, information management, who are responsible for total information management across the operational organization. So let's see how they would impact in a couple of typical use cases. Take the use case of a brownfield project change. During shutdown of whatever plant you have, there is a new compressor package that needs to be replaced. Maintenance, of course, can provide the equipment details and the history of any changes that have occurred to it, but they don't actually know the functional and design specifications or even the requirements from the start. So an investigation has to take place to physically and functionally understand what is there and why it's there, and that can come at quite a significant cost. Information management are responsible for the complete digital twin of the asset. So with them in place, this then includes all of that design information as well as the physical details and all that history of changes. They're responsible for that, and that is what's needed to understand how that original package and why it was there and how it must keep performing. So having that information and having it controlled has saved considerable costs during any project redesign. Let's have a look at another use case, process excellence. So let's say some plant efficiency has dropped. Maintenance report, they look at their assets and everything is running well and all have been maintained well. There's no problems there. But the problem is no information exists as to how the assets are actually supposed to function. What were they originally designed to do? And it would be information management that would hold and be responsible for that complete digital set of data about the assets, holding and controlling the engineering information as well as the process requirements that took place. Then these can be used to compare the performance today against what it was designed to do. Fundamentally, that plant efficiency couldn't have been solved very easily without those original requirements, because that allows you then to compare and understand why and where the efficiencies have dropped. With this information, the excellence team can therefore increase the revenue in your plant. So, in summary, moving your organization from a discipline-centric, in this example maintenance, to a holistic operational-wide approach to information is the big disruptor. That is the organizational change that must take place. Forming the centralized information management discipline is key then to its success. Just remember, technology is not implementing the change. It's your organization that is. So thank you for listening. Please look at our YI portal for other presentations that build on this subject. For example, why is ALIM a critical disruptor to your digitization strategy? Have a look at config management, why it's central to a digital twin. And don't forget our asset performance keynote. Think big, prove small, and scale fast.
If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. If you want to see more such series, consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you, and see you next time.